Have you ever felt like you're spending more time in the bathroom than you'd like to admit? For many people, frequent urination becomes just another part of daily life, something to joke about or ignore. But what if I told you that this seemingly minor annoyance might actually be a whisper from your body, trying to alert you to something deeper, something that, if not understood and addressed, could slowly erode your well-being from the inside out? Today, I want to talk with you about what might actually be happening behind the scenes when your bladder feels like it's always on high alert. But more than that, I want to guide you through simple, natural shifts that can support your body in ways most people never consider. And, if you stay with me until the end, I'll share a bonus tip that very few people know about, one that can dramatically boost the results of everything I'm going to share. It's not a secret, but it is often overlooked, and it makes all the difference. Let's start with something we rarely pause to think about. How often do you actually urinate each day? For some, it's every few hours. For others, it's every hour or less. Now, drinking plenty of water is essential. Our bodies depend on hydration to function. But there's a fine line between staying hydrated and overwhelming your bladder, especially when there are hidden triggers in your lifestyle, environment, or even your diet that are silently contributing to this cycle. Frequent urination isn't just about fluid intake. It can also be a subtle reflection of how your kidneys, hormones, and nervous system are functioning. And when one of those systems is even slightly out of balance, your bladder is often the first to feel it. One common but little discussed contributor? Inflammation. Low-grade, chronic inflammation can irritate the bladder lining and disrupt signals between the brain and urinary tract. What causes that inflammation? Often, it's a combination of factors: processed foods, artificial additives, high sugar consumption, stress, and even poor sleep hygiene. Each of these creates tiny sparks that over time can develop into a fire. And that fire doesn't just stay in your bladder. Over time, unchecked inflammation has been linked to fatigue, brain fog, hormonal imbalances, and yes, frequent urination. Your body might be trying to flush something out, but it's doing so at a cost. There's another angle we need to explore, and this one often goes unnoticed: the nervous system's role in bladder function. When your body is in a constant state of stress, even low-grade stress, it sends signals that can misfire and lead to the sensation of needing to urinate more often. Think about those moments of anxiety or tension when you suddenly feel the urge, even if you just went. That's not coincidence, it's communication. Now, I want to pause here and emphasize something crucial. This isn't about panic or fear, it's about awareness. Knowing what's behind your symptoms is the first step toward change. And fortunately, there are natural, gentle ways to begin calming this overactive pattern in your body. One of the simplest shifts you can make is introducing more anti-inflammatory foods into your daily meals. Leafy greens, turmeric, ginger, and omega-3 rich sources like flaxseed or walnuts. These aren't miracle cures, but they support your body's natural rhythm and reduce internal friction. Another valuable step is incorporating stress relief techniques, even something as simple as 10 minutes of deep breathing or a short walk in nature. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the idea that something more serious could be behind your symptoms, take a breath. You're here now, gaining insight, and that's the most empowering place to be. Remember, your body isn't betraying you. It's trying to communicate. And before we move on, let me remind you of the bonus tip I promised. It's coming, and it ties everything together, but only once we've explored the key triggers that so often go unnoticed. Because when it comes to your health, missing just one piece of the puzzle can mean missing the full picture. What I'll share next may seem surprising. It's not a supplement, not a tea, and not a trendy health hack. It's something sitting in most American pantries right now, and it could be making your bladder work overtime without you ever realizing it. This next tip is one of the most important. Overlooking it won't just slow your progress, it could also lead to side effects that affect your entire urinary system. So, if you're serious about taking control of your health naturally and effectively, you won't want to miss what's coming. You might be surprised to learn that a major culprit behind your frequent urination is hiding in plain sight, right on your breakfast table. It's not about how much liquid you're drinking, but what's riding along with it. And no, we're not just talking about caffeine or alcohol. though those definitely play a role. What I'm referring to is something far more subtle and far more pervasive. Let's talk about added sugars, particularly high-fructose corn syrup. This ingredient is tucked away in countless foods and beverages marketed as healthy. Granola bars, fruit juices, salad dressings, even seemingly innocent loaves of whole wheat bread. For many Americans, high-fructose corn syrup is a daily habit they don't even realize they've developed. And yet, its impact on your body, especially your bladder, is significant. Here's why. Excessive sugar consumption causes a spike in blood sugar levels. Your kidneys, in their attempt to regulate this imbalance, increase urine production to flush out the excess glucose. This process, known as osmotic diuresis, means your bladder is being overworked to compensate for a dietary imbalance. Over time, this not only disrupts your daily routine, but can also contribute to long-term kidney stress and urinary discomfort. But the effects of high-fructose corn syrup don't stop there. It also plays a role in triggering systemic inflammation, much like we discussed earlier. When your tissues are inflamed, your bladder lining becomes more sensitive. That leads to a vicious cycle. The more sugar you consume, the more inflamed your system becomes, and the more urgently and frequently you feel the need to urinate. Now, I'm not suggesting you cut out all sugar forever. That's neither realistic nor necessary. But becoming aware of hidden sources and making intentional swaps can reduce this burden significantly. Try replacing sugary beverages with infused water or herbal teas. Pay closer attention to labels, and when in doubt, choose whole, unprocessed foods. The fewer ingredients, the better. Another ingredient worth reconsidering is artificial sweeteners. Products labeled as sugar-free often contain compounds like aspartame, saccharin, or sucralose, which have been shown to irritate the bladder in sensitive individuals. That sugar-free soda might not be doing you any favors after all. These substances can confuse the nervous system and provoke bladder contractions, even in the absence of large fluid volumes. It's also worth pointing out that many people unknowingly start their day with a double hit, a sugary breakfast combined with caffeine. Coffee sweetened with flavored creamers, breakfast pastries, fruit-flavored yogurts. These morning staples may be convenient, but they're not doing your urinary tract any favors. By mid-morning, you might already be on your third bathroom trip, not realizing that it's your breakfast, not your bladder, that's calling the shots. One powerful step you can take right now: start your day with a fiber-rich, low-sugar breakfast. Something as simple as unsweetened oatmeal with cinnamon and chopped nuts can help regulate blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and support digestive health, all of which contribute to a calmer, more balanced bladder function. As you become more mindful of what you consume, you'll start to notice shifts, fewer sudden urges, better sleep without nighttime bathroom interruptions, and perhaps most importantly, a renewed sense of control over your body. Knowledge is your strongest ally here. Once you recognize these patterns, you're no longer at their mercy. You can begin making choices that align with how you want to feel: clearer, calmer, more in control. And as powerful as this step is, it's still only one piece of the puzzle. Because what's coming next is about more than just what you eat. It's about how you live, how your rhythms, habits, and even the way you rest at night could be playing a major role in this pattern. The next insight may be one of the most important yet. Ignoring it won't just reduce your results, it could introduce deeper imbalances that are harder to reverse. Stay with me, because the next step could change everything. After understanding how certain ingredients in your diet, especially hidden sugars and artificial sweeteners, can overstimulate your bladder, it's time to turn our attention to a less obvious, yet incredibly influential factor: your sleep. If you find yourself waking up once, twice, maybe even 3 times a night to urinate, you might assume your bladder is the issue. But what if the real culprit is your brain's chemistry? You see, sleep is not just a time for rest. It's when your body resets its hormonal balance, processes metabolic waste, and regulates essential functions, including how much urine your kidneys produce. One key player in this nighttime puzzle is a hormone called vasopressin. Its role is simple but vital. It tells your kidneys to slow down urine production while you sleep. This helps most people make it through the night without having to get up. But here's the catch. Vasopressin is released in deeper stages of sleep. If your rest is constantly interrupted, shallow, or inconsistent, your body may not produce enough of it. As a result, your kidneys keep working at full pace, and your bladder fills up faster than it should while you're trying to rest. Now imagine this happening night after night. The frustration, the fatigue, the sense of never feeling truly rested. And worse yet, your bladder begins to associate nighttime with activity instead of stillness. Over time, this becomes a behavioral loop. Your body learns to wake up simply because it expects to. One of the biggest disruptors of sleep quality is something millions of people suffer from unknowingly: sleep apnea. This condition causes your breathing to pause momentarily during the night, often without you realizing it. These pauses reduce oxygen levels and jolt your body out of deep sleep, sometimes dozens or even hundreds of times per night. Not only does this interrupt the release of vasopressin, but it also triggers stress hormones like cortisol, which can further stimulate the bladder. Even if you don't have sleep apnea, other factors like inconsistent sleep schedules, blue light exposure before bed, or even late-night meals can degrade your sleep quality and contribute to this issue. Many people treat nighttime urination as a normal part of aging, but age alone isn't the cause. It's the accumulation of these silent habits that sabotage your natural rhythm. So, what can you do to reclaim your nights? Start by creating a consistent bedtime routine. Aim to go to bed and wake up at the same times each day, even on weekends. Reduce screen time at least an hour before bed, and consider using warm lighting in the evening to encourage melatonin production. Avoid large meals or excess liquids 2 hours before sleep, and create a sleep environment that is cool, dark, and quiet. If you suspect sleep apnea, it's essential to speak with a healthcare provider. But even before that, practices like elevating your head slightly, sleeping on your side, or using nasal strips can support better breathing and deeper rest. You can also support vasopressin naturally by avoiding alcohol in the evening. Alcohol not only acts as a diuretic, but also fragments your sleep, reducing your ability to reach those deeper stages where vasopressin is most active. Caffeine late in the day should also be reconsidered. It stays in your system longer than most people think and can subtly delay your ability to fall into restorative sleep. One overlooked strategy that helps many people is establishing a wind-down ritual. This could be 10 minutes of gentle stretching, listening to calming music, or practicing slow, diaphragmatic breathing. When you send clear signals to your body that it's time to relax, you allow the nervous system to downshift, making it easier to enter and stay in deep sleep. What you do during the day matters too. Regular daylight exposure, especially in the morning, helps reset your internal clock, while physical activity, even just walking, improves sleep quality at night. It's all connected. When your days are balanced, your nights follow suit. As you can see, your sleep isn't just about rest. It's a crucial, active process that directly influences how often you feel the need to urinate. Reclaiming deep, uninterrupted sleep can be one of the most powerful changes you make for your bladder health. But we're not done yet, because what comes next could explain why, even with the right food and better sleep, your symptoms still persist. Ignoring this next piece could not only stall your progress, but potentially create deeper imbalances that are harder to undo. This is where things start to connect in ways most people never expect. At this point, you've taken a closer look at what you eat and how you sleep. But there's a missing link, one that ties directly into both digestion and urination, yet is rarely discussed: your gut. We often think of the gut as being responsible only for digestion, but it's far more than that. Your gut is home to trillions of microorganisms, collectively known as the microbiome. These bacteria aren't just passive passengers. They actively influence your immune system, hormone levels, mood, and yes, bladder function. When your gut microbiome is out of balance, a condition known as dysbiosis, it can trigger widespread inflammation throughout your body. And one of the lesser-known effects of this inflammatory response is its impact on the bladder lining. A compromised gut can allow inflammatory compounds to enter the bloodstream, where they may irritate sensitive tissues, including the urinary tract. The nerves that regulate your bladder are closely connected to your digestive tract. In fact, there's a constant line of communication between your enteric nervous system, often called your second brain, and the nerves that control urination. When inflammation is present in the gut, these signals can become misaligned. This might manifest as a feeling of urgency, even when your bladder isn't full, or it may cause you to void more frequently as your nervous system misreads the cues. Many people are surprised to learn that chronic constipation or irregular bowel movements can put pressure on the bladder, contributing to feelings of urgency or incomplete emptying. It's all part of a complex system where nothing works in isolation. So, how can you begin to restore this delicate balance? The first step is to nourish your gut flora. Begin incorporating more fermented foods into your diet. Options like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, or unsweetened yogurt. These foods are rich in beneficial bacteria that help rebuild your internal ecosystem. Another essential step is increasing your fiber intake. Soluble fiber found in oats, chia seeds, flax seeds, and legumes feeds your good bacteria, helping them thrive. This not only supports digestion, but also helps reduce inflammation that may be irritating your bladder. Prebiotics, which act as food for probiotics, are just as important. You'll find them in garlic, onions, leeks, and asparagus. These foods help create a thriving environment for your beneficial microbes, promoting better communication between your gut and bladder. It's also worth noting that antibiotics, though sometimes necessary, can disrupt your gut balance for weeks or even months. If you've taken antibiotics recently or frequently throughout your life, your gut may need extra support to recover. Probiotic supplements can help, but food-based sources tend to be more effective over time. Hydration also plays a dual role. While too much fluid at the wrong time can increase urinary frequency, staying consistently hydrated throughout the day helps keep both the gut and bladder functioning optimally. Aim for smaller sips throughout the day rather than large amounts all at once. Equally important is stress management. Your gut and brain are in constant dialogue, and emotional stress can directly affect gut motility, enzyme production, and microbial health. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, or even brief daily walks can significantly reduce this stress load, leading to improvements not just in digestion, but in urinary habits as well. Lastly, observe your body's response. If you experience bloating, gas, or irregular bowel movements alongside frequent urination, it could be your gut trying to tell you something. Pay attention and don't ignore the signs. Bringing your gut back into balance doesn't require drastic measures. Small, consistent choices each day build toward a healthier, more resilient system. And once your gut is thriving, you'll often find that your bladder follows suit. Still, there's one habit that might be canceling out all your efforts, something many people do automatically without realizing it's part of the problem. And if it's not addressed, it can silently undo all the positive changes you've made so far. That's what we're about to explore next. And trust me, you'll want to pay close attention, because missing this next insight can do more than limit your progress. It may actually worsen your symptoms over time. Even when you've adjusted your diet, improved your sleep, and begun nurturing your gut, there's one habit, seemingly harmless, that can quietly sabotage all your progress. It's so common, so deeply woven into modern routines that most people never think twice about it. But this simple behavior might be the reason your bladder still feels overactive. Let's talk about how, when, and how much you're drinking fluids. Many people adopt the idea that the more water you drink, the better. And while hydration is absolutely vital for overall health, overhydration, especially at the wrong times, can create unnecessary stress on your kidneys and bladder. It's not just about what you drink, but how you structure your intake across the day that truly matters. Your body is designed to regulate fluid balance very precisely, but when you flood it with large volumes of liquid all at once, particularly in the evening, it disrupts this delicate rhythm. Your bladder gets stretched, your kidneys stay active longer, and you might find yourself waking up at night or making urgent trips during the day, even if your overall intake isn't excessive. Another overlooked issue is fluid timing. For example, many people neglect hydration throughout the early hours of the day and then try to make up for it in the late afternoon or evening. This backloaded hydration schedule forces your system to process a large volume of fluid right before rest, which can easily lead to nighttime urination and poor quality sleep. Instead, consider front-loading your hydration. Begin your day with a glass of water shortly after waking, then continue sipping steadily through the morning and early afternoon. By the time evening arrives, your body is already well hydrated, and you can begin tapering off fluid intake gradually. This simple shift in timing can have a profound effect on your urinary habits. The type of fluids you consume also plays a role. Drinks like soda, energy drinks, sugary juices, or alcohol don't hydrate the same way water or herbal teas do. In fact, many of these beverages act as diuretics or irritants. That means they not only increase urine production, but also irritate the bladder lining, compounding the urgency and frequency you're trying to avoid. Caffeine is another piece of the puzzle. Found in coffee, tea, chocolate, and certain medications, caffeine stimulates bladder muscles and increases urine output. While a morning cup of coffee isn't inherently harmful, consuming caffeine in the late afternoon or evening can heighten bladder sensitivity and disrupt sleep. Here's a powerful visual to keep in mind. Imagine your bladder like a balloon. Filling it slowly and evenly over time allows it to stretch gently and empty without stress. But if you suddenly pour a large volume of fluid in a short window, the balloon expands rapidly, triggering nerves that send urgent signals to the brain, even when you're not truly full. Another habit that deserves attention is drinking out of habit rather than thirst. Constantly sipping water, especially if you're sedentary or not sweating, can confuse your natural thirst signals and encourage your bladder to stay in an active cycle. Listening to your body and spacing out your intake helps restore that intuitive connection. You can also support your body's fluid regulation by incorporating hydrating foods. Fruits like watermelon, cucumbers, oranges, and strawberries not only supply water, but also offer electrolytes and nutrients that help your cells retain hydration more efficiently. This means you stay hydrated with less strain on your bladder. One final tip: always sit down and relax when drinking. Chugging water while standing, walking, or multitasking may seem efficient, but it sends a different signal to your nervous system. Slowing down your fluid intake supports better absorption and digestion, allowing your body to use what it needs without overwhelming your kidneys. When you become intentional about your fluid habits, you give your bladder space to heal and regulate. The change won't happen overnight, but within a few days, you may already notice less urgency, fewer disruptions, and more confidence in your daily routines. But if your symptoms still persist, despite all these adjustments, there's likely one underlying cause you haven't addressed yet, one that links metabolism, hormone regulation, and bladder function in a way few people ever realize. If ignored, it won't just hold you back from healing. It could slowly deepen the dysfunction that started this journey in the first place. You've been making changes, adjusting your diet, improving your sleep, nurturing your gut, and becoming more intentional about your hydration. But if you're still experiencing frequent urges to urinate, even after all of this effort, the answer may lie deeper than most people expect. Because for many, the true root cause isn't just behavioral or dietary, it's metabolic. One of the most overlooked contributors to frequent urination is something called insulin resistance. It's a condition where your body stops responding efficiently to insulin, the hormone responsible for regulating blood sugar levels. And while it's often associated with diabetes, insulin resistance can begin developing silently years before any diagnosis. During this time, it can quietly impact your bladder without you ever realizing what's happening. Here's how it works. When insulin resistance occurs, your body has more glucose circulating in the bloodstream. In response, your kidneys work overtime to filter and eliminate the excess sugar through urine. This leads to a pattern called osmotic diuresis, which causes you to urinate more frequently. But beyond that, insulin resistance also contributes to systemic inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which irritate the bladder and increase urgency. This is especially important to understand because you don't need to have full-blown diabetes to be affected. Mild to moderate insulin resistance is incredibly common, especially in adults over 40, those with sedentary lifestyles, diets high in refined carbs, or elevated levels of stress. And one of its earliest symptoms is an overactive bladder, even before blood tests show anything unusual. Now here's the good news. Insulin resistance is highly responsive to natural interventions. And some of the most effective tools are right in your kitchen. Let's start with a powerful but often underestimated food: pumpkin seeds. Rich in magnesium, zinc, and plant-based compounds that support bladder muscle function, pumpkin seeds also help improve insulin sensitivity. Eating a small handful each day, raw and unsalted, is a simple step with far-reaching benefits. They also contain phytosterols that may reduce inflammation in the urinary tract. But there's another natural remedy that's even more intriguing: corn silk tea. Corn silk is the fine thread-like material found under the husk of corn. Traditionally used in herbal medicine, it acts as a gentle diuretic and anti-inflammatory agent, soothing the urinary tract without overstimulating it. What makes it particularly effective for those with insulin resistance is that it helps modulate glucose metabolism while reducing bladder irritation. To prepare it properly, dry the corn silk naturally in a shaded area until it becomes light and crisp. Once dried, steep about a tablespoon in hot water for 8 to 10 minutes. You can drink this tea once a day, preferably in the afternoon. It has a mild, earthy flavor and supports both your bladder and metabolic health. And here's the bonus tip I promised at the very beginning. To significantly amplify the effects of the corn silk tea, add just a pinch of Ceylon cinnamon, not the regular cassia type found in most grocery stores. Ceylon cinnamon has been shown to enhance insulin sensitivity and reduce blood sugar spikes. When combined with corn silk, it forms a powerful duo for calming your bladder and regulating your metabolic response. The key is consistency. None of these remedies work like magic overnight, but they support your body in a gradual, sustainable way. And when combined with the habits you've already been building, cleaner eating, better sleep, healthier hydration, and a balanced gut, they create the foundation your body needs to restore balance. This journey isn't just about reducing trips to the bathroom. It's about understanding how deeply connected your systems are and how small daily choices ripple into long-term change. When you choose to listen to your body, to support it instead of silence it, you begin to shift from frustration to empowerment. You don't need to fear your symptoms. You just need to understand them. And now, you're equipped with the tools to do exactly that. If this message resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might need it. Your knowledge could be the starting point for someone else's healing. And if you found value in this content, like or subscribe to help bring more awareness to natural, practical solutions for better health. Because every body deserves the chance to heal, and it all starts with understanding.